Captain Emily Harrison stood at the bridge of the U.S. Defiant, her blue eyes fixed on the massive viewscreen before her. The ship, humanity's most advanced battleship, hung silently in space near Earth's moon. The polished dark hull of the vessel seemed to drink in the starlight, its shape unlike anything Earth had built before, a perfect blend of beauty and deadly purpose. "Captain, we're picking up multiple ships entering the solar system," reported Lieutenant Lisa Murphy from her station. Her fingers danced across the glowing control panel as she analyzed the incoming data. They're huge, Mom." Emily straightened her uniform, her face calm despite the tension in the air. "Show me." The main screen flickered to life, displaying 5 massive vessels that made the Defiant look tiny in comparison. Their golden hulls gleamed in the sunlight, covered in intricate patterns that spoke of centuries of technological advancement. "They're broadcasting a message," said Communications Officer Peter Walsh, his voice steady despite the historic moment. "They identify themselves as representatives of the Galactic Council. After years of sending signals into space, hoping for contact, aliens had finally arrived. But something about their approach made Emily's combat instincts tingle with warning. "Put them through, main screen," she ordered. The screen changed to show a tall, blue-skinned alien with silver eyes and elaborate robes. Behind him stood others of different species, all looking at the humans with expressions that Emily didn't need alien psychology to read. Contempt. "Greetings, primitive species," the alien spoke in perfect English, clearly using some translation technology. "I am High Counselor Zexal of the Galactic Council. We have come to process your world's application for protectorate status." Emily frowned. "I'm afraid there must be some mistake, Counselor. Earth hasn't applied for any status. We're an independent world." Laughter echoed from the alien delegation. "My dear Captain, you misunderstand. You don't apply. We decide. The Council has governed this galaxy for 50,000 years. Your species has barely mastered basic spaceflight. The process is automatic for primitive races like yours." The bridge crew tensed at the insult, but Emily kept her voice level. "With respect, Counselor, Earth and humanity decline your offer. We prefer to maintain our independence." The alien's silver eyes narrowed. "Perhaps I wasn't clear. This isn't an offer. Your species will submit to Council authority, or face sanctions. Your primitive weapons and single battleship cannot hope to resist us." Emily felt her crew's eyes on her. This wasn't how anyone had imagined first contact would go. "Counselor, we've only shown you what we wanted you to see. I strongly suggest you reconsider your approach. Are you threatening the Council?" Zexal's voice rose with disbelief. "Your arrogance is astounding. You will submit, or we will demonstrate why the Council has ruled unopposed for 50 millennia." Admiral David Cooper's voice came through on a secure channel. "Captain Harrison, you're authorized to show them our full capabilities if they make any aggressive moves. Earth won't bow to threats." "Understood, Admiral." Emily turned back to the screen. "Counselor, we wish to maintain peaceful relations, but we won't surrender our sovereignty. If you're here for genuine diplomatic talks, we welcome that. If you're here to threaten Earth, you should know that humans don't respond well to bullies." The alien's face twisted with rage. "You dare. You have 48 hours to submit to Council authority. After that, we will show you the price of defiance." The transmission cut off abruptly. Emily turned to her crew. "Sound General Quarters. Begin full defense preparations. Murphy, I want everything we have on their ship's capabilities. Foster, warm up our special weapon systems. Wilson, plot us a tactical retreat vector. Let's not show our hand too early." As klaxons sounded throughout the massive ship, Emily felt a strange calm settle over her. The aliens clearly thought they were dealing with a primitive species that would bow to their superior technology. They had no idea that humanity had been preparing for this moment for decades, reverse engineering crashed alien ships and developing technologies that the Council couldn't imagine. The U.S. Defiant might look small compared to the Council's massive ships, But appearances could be deceiving, very deceiving. "Send word to Earth Defense Command," she ordered. Tell them first contact has failed, but the Defiant stands ready. And get me everything we have on this Galactic Council. I want to know exactly what we're dealing with." As her crew rushed to comply, Emily watched the Council ships on the tactical display. They thought humanity would be an easy conquest, another primitive race to add to their collection. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. Admiral David Cooper paced in the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains. Large screens covered the walls, showing the 5 massive council ships that still hung in space like golden daggers pointed at Earth's heart. The clock on the main screen showed 36 hours remaining until the council's deadline. "What do we know about their capabilities?" he asked, looking at Intelligence Officer Robert Mason. Robert stood up and pointed to the detailed scans of the council ships. "Their ships are big, sir, but they're old. Really old. Our scans show their technology hasn't changed much in thousands of years. They've stopped innovating." The Admiral nodded, his gray hair catching the light from the screens. "And the Defiant?" "Ready for combat, sir," said Robert. "Engineer Foster reports the new weapons are at full power. The Council has no idea what we've built." For 20 years, humanity had prepared in secret. They had found a crashed alien ship in the Arctic and kept it hidden. Earth's best scientists had taken it apart and learned its secrets. Then they had made everything better. The large screen blinked, showing Captain Emily Harrison from the Defiance bridge. "Admiral, we've got movement. 3 more council ships just arrived." "They're trying to scare us," said the Admiral. He turned to his staff. "Send the order. Launch the defense satellites." Around Earth, hidden platforms came to life. They looked like normal communication satellites, but each one carried weapons more advanced than anything the Council had. "Sir," called out one of the operators, "the Council is broadcasting to every TV and radio on Earth." "Put it through," ordered Cooper. The main screen showed High Counselor Zexal again. His blue face looked angry. "People of Earth, your leaders hide the truth from you. The Galactic Council offers you protection and guidance. We have ruled the galaxy for 50,000 years. Your primitive weapons cannot hurt us. Tell your leaders to surrender or face our power." Admiral Cooper pressed a button to broadcast his reply. "This is Admiral David Cooper of Earth Defense Command. We've heard your threats. Earth's answer is still no. We won't give up our freedom." "Then you choose destruction," Zexal shouted. "We will make an example of your pathetic world." The screen went dark. Admiral Cooper turned to his staff. "Send the coded message to all Earth ships. Operation Hidden Shield is now active." Around the world, ships that looked like normal cargo vessels and passenger planes began to change shape. Their outer shells fell away, revealing sleek warships. Humanity had been building its fleet in plain sight for years. On the Defiant, Engineer Brian Foster ran final checks on his new weapons. "Captain," he called to Emily, "the shield breaker is ready. The Council thinks their shields are perfect, but we found their weakness." "Good work," said Emily. She looked at her crew. "Battle stations. This is what we trained for." First Officer Daniel Wright spoke up from his position. "Captain, Council ships are powering up weapons. They're trying to scare us with a show of force." Emily smiled. "Let them." Navigation Officer Wilson, "Move us into position behind Earth's moon. Let's wait for the right moment." "Yes, Captain," said Karen Wilson, her hands steady on the controls. The mighty ship slid silently behind Earth's moon, hidden from the Council's view. Back in the Mountain Command Center, Admiral Cooper watched as more Council ships arrived. There were 12 now, all huge and golden, forming a ring around Earth. "They're so sure of themselves," said Robert Mason, shaking his head. "They think size means everything." "That's their weakness," said Cooper. "They stopped learning long ago. They think they know everything." He looked at the clock. 24 hours left. A young officer ran up with a message. "Sir, our spies report the Council never expected us to say no. They thought we would surrender as soon as they arrived. They don't have a real battle plan." Cooper smiled. This was exactly what they had hoped for. The Council was powerful but slow and stuck in their old ways. They hadn't fought a real battle in thousands of years. "Send word to Captain Harrison," he ordered. "Tell her to get ready. When they attack, we'll show them that humanity isn't as primitive as they think." As the message went out, the Council ships continued their show of force, firing their weapons into space to demonstrate their power. They didn't notice the small dark shapes moving into position around Earth, or the hidden weapons powering up in the satellites. Humanity was ready for war, and they had a few surprises waiting for the mighty Galactic Council. Lieutenant Lisa Murphy couldn't believe what her scanners were showing. She double-checked the readings in the Defiance analysis lab before rushing to the bridge. "Captain Harrison," she called out, her voice excited. "I found something about their defense platform." The main screen showed the massive Aegis defense platform, the Council's greatest achievement. It was a ring-shaped station bigger than a city, floating in space near their capital world. For 10,000 years, no one had ever broken through its shields. "What did you find?" Emily asked, turning away from the tactical display. Lisa pulled up her scans on the main screen. They used the same shield technology on all their ships and stations. It's old, really old. They haven't changed it because no one ever beat it. She pointed to a pattern in the energy readings. "But look here. Every shield has a rhythm, like a heartbeat. Their shields pulse every 3.8 seconds. Engineer Brian Foster jumped up from his station. "A pulse. That means there's a gap, doesn't it? Even if it's tiny." "Exactly," Lisa said. "For just a fraction of a second, the shield is weaker. They never fixed this because their sensors aren't fast enough to see it. But ours are." Captain Harrison smiled. "Can we use this?" Brian was already running calculations on his console. "Yes, if we time our shots perfectly and hit them with the right frequency." He looked up, eyes bright. "We can shatter their shields with one good hit." The bridge crew gathered around as Brian explained his plan. The Defiant's new quantum weapons could be tuned to match the shield's frequency. When the shield pulse was at its weakest point, their weapons would strike with perfect timing. "How long to modify the weapons?" Emily asked. 2 hours, Brian said. "Maybe less." "Do it," Emily ordered. She turned to Communications Officer Peter Walsh. "Send word to Admiral Cooper. Tell him we found their weakness." In the Mountain Command Center, Admiral Cooper received the news with a grim smile. "So that's why they never improved their shields," he said to Robert Mason. "They thought they were perfect already." "Classic mistake," Robert replied. "They got comfortable. Stopped looking for ways to get better." The Admiral looked at the clock. 12 hours left until the Council's deadline. On the screens, more Council ships had arrived. There were 15 now, plus their mighty defense platform. "They're bringing their best weapons to scare us," Robert said. "But they don't know we can see right through them." On the Defiant, Brian and his engineering team worked fast to modify the weapons. Lisa helped them match the timing perfectly. Every shot would have to hit at exactly the right moment. "Done," Brian called out finally. "Weapons are ready, Captain." Emily nodded. "Now we wait. They'll attack as soon as their deadline runs out. That's when we'll show them what humanity can do." First Officer Wright spoke up. "Captain, look at their formation. They're so sure of their shields that they're not even trying to stay out of our firing range." "Pride," Emily said. "That's their real weakness. 10,000 years of thinking they're unbeatable." The Council ships moved closer to Earth, preparing for their attack. High Counselor Zexal's voice boomed across all channels again. "Your time runs short, humans. Soon you will learn the price of defying the Council. Our Aegis defense platform has never fallen. Our shields have never failed. Submit now, or face our wrath." Emily looked at her crew. Each face showed the same determination. Humanity might be young compared to the Council, but they had something the Council had lost long ago: the drive to improve, to find new ways, to never stop learning. "Status report," she ordered. "All weapons ready," reported Tactical Officer John Reynolds. "Shields at maximum," said Brian. "Course plotted," added Karen Wilson. "Communication links secure," said Peter. "Shield analysis programs running," finished Lisa. Emily sat in her captain's chair, watching the Council ships on the screen. They looked powerful, ancient, and unbeatable. But appearances could lie. "Send one last message to Earth Command," she said. "Tell them the Defiant is ready. When the Council attacks, they'll learn that humanity isn't as primitive as they think. And their greatest defense," she smiled, "is about to become their greatest disappointment." The crew turned to their stations, ready for battle. In just a few hours, the Council would learn a hard lesson about underestimating humanity. Their perfect shields were about to meet humanity's perfect timing. The U.S. Defiant moved through space like a shadow. Navigation Officer Karen Wilson's hands moved carefully over her controls as she guided the massive ship through a field of asteroids. Their new stealth system made them invisible to the Council's sensors. "Position," Captain Emily Harrison asked quietly, even though no one in space could hear them. "We're 8 minutes from their defense platform, Captain," Karen replied. "They still don't see us." The bridge was dark, running on minimal power to avoid detection. Only the soft glow of essential screens lit the faces of the crew. Through the main viewport, they could see the Council's mighty Aegis platform growing larger. "Status of their shields?" Emily asked. Lieutenant Lisa Murphy checked her readings. "Still pulsing every 3.8 seconds, Captain. They haven't changed anything. They don't even know they should." The Council's deadline had passed an hour ago. Their ships had started bombing empty areas on Earth to show their power. But Earth's hidden defenses kept the real cities safe, using technology the Council couldn't detect. "Message from Earth Command," Peter Walsh whispered from his communication station. "Admiral Cooper says all ships are in position. They're ready for our signal." Emily nodded. The plan was simple but dangerous. The Defiant would strike first, showing that the Council's perfect shields could fail. When the other Council ships came to help, Earth's hidden fleet would attack from all sides. "Engineering report," Emily called. "Weapons are hot," Brian Foster replied from his station. "Shield breaker is charged and timed perfectly. We'll only get one surprise shot, Captain. After that, they'll know we're here." First Officer Daniel Wright moved to stand beside Emily's chair. "The crew is ready, Captain. But if this doesn't work—" "It will work," Emily said firmly. "Humanity has spent 20 years preparing for this moment. We're not the primitive species they think we are." Karen's voice cut through the quiet bridge. "Approaching final position, Captain. 10,000 kilometers from target." "Tactical status?" Emily asked. John Reynolds checked his weapons display. "Target locked." Computing final firing solution based on their shield pulse. The massive Aegis platform filled their view now. It was beautiful in a way, its golden surface reflecting starlight. Thousands of defense turrets covered its surface, but they all pointed outward. No one had ever gotten this close before. "They're so sure of their shields," Lisa said, shaking her head. "Their sensors sweep right past us every few seconds, but their software is too old to see our stealth field." Emily stood up, looking at her crew. This was the moment that would change everything. Either they would prove humanity's worth, or— All ships, Baitil stations. A sudden alarm blared through space. The Council had discovered them. "How?" Emily demanded. Lisa's fingers flew over her console. "They didn't spot us. They're starting their attack on Earth. This is perfect. Their attention is divided." "Right position?" Emily asked Karen. "Yes, Captain. Perfect attack angle." "Shields?" "Their pulse is steady," Lisa confirmed. Next weakness point in 10 seconds. Emily took a deep breath. All hands, battle stations. This is not a drill. Weapons, stand by for my mark. The crew tensed at their stations. Years of training came down to this moment. 5 seconds. Lisa called out. Weapons ready, John reported. 3 seconds. Emily gripped her chair. Steady. Shield pulse peak, now at weakest point. Fire. The Defiant's quantum weapons burst to life. Beams of energy, perfectly timed, struck the Aegis platform's shields at their weakest point. For a split second, nothing happened. Then the impossible occurred. The mighty shields of the Council's greatest defense platform flickered, sparked, and began to fail. 10,000 years of assumed invincibility ended in a single, perfect shot. Alarms blared across Council ships. The Defiant dropped its stealth field, now visible to all. Emily could imagine the panic on the Council ships as they saw a single human vessel, far smaller than their own, sitting in their supposedly secure space. Direct hit, John called out. Their shields are down. Send the signal to Earth, Emily ordered. Tell them Phase 1 is complete. As Peter sent the message, Emily watched the Council ships turn toward them in confusion. They had just learned that humanity was far more dangerous than they had imagined. All hands, Emily called over the ship's comm. Prepare for battle. Let's show the Council what humanity can really do. Chaos erupted in space as the Council realized their greatest defense had failed. The Aegis platform's shields were down, something that hadn't happened in 10,000 years. Alarms blared across all frequencies as Council ships rushed to respond. Multiple ships approaching. Lisa Murphy called out from her station on the Defiant. They're scrambling everything they have. Captain Emily Harrison stood calm at the center of her bridge. Status of their weapons. Still active, John Reynolds replied from Tactical. But without their shields. He smiled. They're not as tough as they thought. The main screen showed Council ships racing toward them. Their golden hulls gleamed with weapon ports opening. But Emily noticed something important. Their formation was sloppy, panicked. They don't know what to do. First Officer Wright said, seeing the same thing. They've never had to fight without their shields. Emily nodded. Send the signal to Earth Fleet. Time for Phase 2. Around Earth, hidden ships suddenly appeared. They had been waiting in stealth mode, just like the Defiant. Now they showed themselves, each one targeting a Council ship. Council ships are broadcasting. Peter Walsh reported from communications. They're demanding to know how we did it. Show me, Emily ordered. High Counselor Zexal's face appeared on screen. His blue skin had turned almost white with rage and fear. Impossible. Our shields cannot fail. What trickery is this? No trickery, Counselor. Emily replied calmly. Just better technology. You stopped improving. We never will. You primitive. Zexal started, but his words were cut off as more alarms sounded on his ship. Multiple shield failures reported across their fleet. Lisa called out excitedly. Earth ships are targeting their weak points. Every shot is timed perfectly. Engineer Brian Foster rushed to his console. The Council is trying to modify their shield frequency, but they can't do it fast enough. Their systems are too old. On the main screen, they watched as Earth's fleet struck with precision. One by one, Council ships lost their shields. The mighty golden vessels that had seemed so powerful now looked vulnerable and aged. Council ships breaking formation. Karen Wilson reported from navigation. They're trying to regroup, but they're confused. Some are running. Emily stood straighter. Target their weapon systems. Disable, don't destroy. We want to show mercy, something they didn't offer us. The Defiant's quantum weapons fired again, striking with surgical precision. Council weapon ports sparked and went dark. More Earth ships appeared from hiding, surrounding the Council fleet. Captain, Lisa called out, look at the Aegis platform. The massive station was starting to show signs of internal damage. Without its shields, old systems were failing under stress they were never meant to handle. "They're evacuating the platform," John reported. "Their own weapons are starting to overload." Emily quickly opened a channel to all ships. "This is Captain Harrison to all vessels. Clear the area around the platform. Help any evacuation ships you see." The Council's mighty defense platform, their pride for 10,000 years, was breaking apart. Not from Earth's attacks, but from its own ancient systems failing. "Message from Admiral Cooper," Peter said. "Earth forces report all Council ships are either disabled or retreating. No casualties on either side." Emily nodded with satisfaction. They had won without destroying a single Council ship. That would send an even stronger message than destruction. "Captain," Lisa spoke up, "I'm detecting something strange from the Council ships that are still here. They're powering down. All of them." The main screen showed Council ships going dark, their weapons powering down. A new transmission came through, not from Zexal, but from other Council members. Human vessels. A different alien spoke, this one looking older and wiser than Zexal. We request a ceasefire. Perhaps we were hasty in our judgment of your species." Emily smiled. "We accept your ceasefire, and we're ready to talk, as equals." The bridge crew cheered quietly at their stations. They had done it. Humanity had proven itself not just powerful, but merciful too. "Send word to Earth," Emily ordered. "Tell them Phase 2 is complete. The Council is ready to negotiate." As she watched the Council ships floating powerless in space, Emily thought about how wrong they had been. They thought age meant wisdom, that their old technology must be the best. They had forgotten the most important lesson. Never stop learning, never stop improving. It was a lesson humanity would be happy to teach them. High Counselor Zexal stormed through the emergency command center on his flagship, his blue face dark with rage. Screens around him showed the impossible. The mighty Aegis platform in ruins, and half his fleet powerless in space. "It cannot be," he shouted at his officers. "They are primitives. Their ships are tiny. Their species is young." But the evidence floated before him in space. The human ships held position around his disabled fleet, their weapons ready but not firing. They were showing restraint, and that made him even angrier. On the U.S. Defiant, Captain Emily Harrison received a new message from Earth Command. Admiral Cooper's face appeared on her screen. "Well done, Captain," he said. "But we have a problem. Zexal is ordering his remaining ships to make a final attack. He won't accept defeat." Emily shook her head. "That would be suicide. Their ships are no match for us without shields." "Pride," First Officer Wright said quietly. "Sometimes it's more dangerous than any weapon." Emily opened a channel to Zexal's ship. "Counselor, please be reasonable. Your shields are down. Your weapons can't hurt us. Don't throw away lives needlessly." "Reasonable." Zexal's voice was sharp with hatred. "You destroy our greatest defense platform, humiliate our fleet, and dare speak of reason." Lieutenant Lisa Murphy spoke up from her station. "Captain, I'm detecting power buildups in their remaining ships. They're trying to overload their reactors. They'll destroy themselves." Engineer Brian Foster called out. "Their old ships can't handle that kind of power." Emily made a quick decision. All ships target their power plants with precision strikes. Minimal power. We're going to save them from themselves. The Defiant's quantum weapons fired again, joined by the rest of Earth's fleet. Small, careful shots hit exactly the right spots on the Council ships. One by one, their power plants shut down safely, preventing the desperate last attack. On his flagship, Zexal watched in disbelief as his final plan failed. Even now, the humans were being careful not to harm his crews. "High Counselor," one of his officers said firmly, "the other Council members are calling for an emergency vote. They're voting to remove you from command." "What? They can't." "They already have," said a new voice. On the main screen, the older council member who had called for the ceasefire appeared. "Zexal, you are relieved of duty. Your pride and anger almost got our people killed." Emily watched on the Defiance screens as council security officers entered Zexal's bridge. The former High Counselor seemed to shrink as they approached, finally realizing how completely he had failed. "Captain Harrison," the new council speaker called. "I am acting High Counselor Ven. On behalf of the Galactic Council, I officially surrender our forces to Earth Command." The bridge crew of the Defiant stayed quiet, understanding the weight of this moment. The mighty council, rulers of space for 50,000 years, were surrendering to the humans they had called primitives just days ago. "We accept your surrender, Counselor Ven," Emily said carefully. "Earth will treat your people with respect. We never wanted to be your enemies." "No," Ven agreed, looking tired but wise. "You wanted to be equals. We were too proud to see that your different way of thinking, your drive to improve and grow, made you stronger than our ancient traditions." Admiral Cooper's voice came through on all channels. "Council ships, this is Earth Command. Please maintain your positions. We're sending engineering teams to help repair your life support systems and get your crews home safely." Emily looked at her crew, seeing pride and relief on their faces. They had won not just through superior technology, but by showing mercy and wisdom. "Captain," Lisa called out softly, "the last pieces of the Aegis platform are breaking up. 10,000 years of history. Sometimes the old must fall for the new to rise." First Officer Wright said, "Maybe now the Council will learn to grow again." Emily nodded, watching the golden fragments of the platform drift in space. "Send word to all Earth ships. Phase 3 is complete. Begin rescue and repair operations." As her crew moved to help the defeated Council ships, Emily thought about how quickly everything had changed. The Council had thought their age made them invincible. Instead, it had made them stagnant. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't their weapons or shields. It was their refusal to stop learning, to stop trying new things. Now they would help the Council remember that lesson, and maybe both sides would grow stronger together. 2 weeks after the battle, the U.S. Defiant floated near Earth's moon. The ship that had changed galactic history now served as the meeting place for a new era. Captain Emily Harrison stood in the newly prepared conference room, watching Earth shine through the windows. "Ready, Captain?" First Officer Wright asked, adjusting his formal uniform. "As ready as I'll ever be," Emily replied. "Never thought I'd be hosting the signing of a peace treaty with the Galactic Council." The room was a mix of human and alien technology. Holographic displays showed both Earth and Council space. Around the large table, chairs were adjusted for different alien body types. It was a small detail, but it showed humanity's willingness to adapt and include others. Admiral Cooper arrived first, accompanied by Engineer Brian Foster and Lieutenant Lisa Murphy. Their discoveries had made victory possible, and they deserved to be part of this moment. "The Council representatives are approaching," announced Peter Walsh from his communication station. Through the windows, they watched as the Council's new flagship arrived. It was different from their old ships, smaller, faster, with new technology they had developed after learning from humanity. Acting High Counselor Ven led the delegation into the conference room. Other alien species followed, each looking at the humans with respect instead of the contempt they had shown before. "Captain Harrison," Ven said warmly, "your ship continues to impress us. Our engineers are still trying to understand how you developed such advanced technology so quickly." Emily smiled. "That's exactly why we succeeded, Counselor. We never stopped trying to improve, to learn new things." They all took their seats around the table. Admiral Cooper stood to speak. 2 weeks ago, we were enemies," he said. "Today, we meet as equals to sign a historic agreement. Earth will join the Galactic Council, not as a primitive world to be ruled, but as a full member with equal rights." Ven nodded. "And the Council will change too. We have created a new science division. led by both human and council scientists. Together, we will grow and improve, as we should have been doing all along. Lisa Murphy couldn't help smiling as she looked at the treaty text on her tablet. One section described how Earth would help update the Council's ancient technology, while the Council would share their vast knowledge of space with Earth. "There's more," Venn announced. "The Council has voted to create a new position, Director of Innovation, and we want engineer Brian Foster to be the first to hold this role." Brian looked shocked. "Me? Your understanding of our shield technology and how to counter it showed us how much we had fallen behind," Venn explained. "We need that kind of thinking." The formal treaty signing began. Each leader added their name or mark to the document. When it was done, something unprecedented happened. The council members stood and applauded the humans. "And now," Admiral Cooper said, "one final tradition." He turned to Emily. "Captain Harrison, step forward." Emily moved to stand before him, curious. "For extraordinary service, innovative thinking, and showing mercy to a defeated enemy, you and the U.S. Defiant will be remembered in both human and council history. You are hereby promoted to fleet captain." The room burst into applause. Human and alien together. Emily felt overwhelmed as Cooper pinned the new rank insignia to her uniform. "The Defiant will lead a new joint fleet," he continued. "Humans and council ships working together to explore space. There's so much we can learn from each other." Later, after the ceremonies were done, Emily stood on her bridge looking at the stars. First Officer Wright joined her. "Quite a change from 2 weeks ago," he said. Emily nodded. "They came to conquer us as primitives. Instead, we taught them the most important lesson of all. Never stop learning." Wright smiled. "Never assume you know everything." "Captain," Lisa called from her station. "The council ships are ready. They're waiting for our signal to start the celebration display." Emily straightened her uniform. "Send the signal." Outside, ships from Earth and the Council moved in formation. Their weapons fired together, not in war this time, but in a spectacular light show celebrating peace. "New course laid in, Captain," Karen Wilson reported from navigation. "Ready when you are." Emily took her seat in the captain's chair, looking at her crew, the people who had helped change the galaxy. "Take us out, Navigation Officer Wilson. Let's see what else we can learn out there." The U.S. Defiant moved forward, leading ships from 2 civilizations toward a new future. They had proved that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their weapons or technology. It was their endless desire to learn, improve, and grow. And now they would do it together, among the stars.